All right. What is up, YouTube boxing family? What is up? Looks like my homie Combat Tool Bags popping in. Hold on, I gotta tell him. I don't think his device is connected. But yeah, what's up, y'all? It's K right here. I'm back. I'm back with another, good video. And I got some good chopping topics for boxing today. And like I got like my brother Combat Toolback. He's gonna be hopping in, today, and we're gonna be talking some boxing. I'm gonna tell him that your device isn't connected. It says on the stream here. Stream. Yeah. So yeah, like I'm gonna wait for Combat Toolbag, but till then, salute to you, Jose Diaz. Thank you for coming by. Salute to the brother, Mr. Combat Toolbag, aka Wise the Warlock, the OG of boxing. He is a professional fighter. For those of you that don't know, please go support him, and I'll keep you guys updated with his future fights because I can't wait for him to come back in to the ring. So yeah, hold on. Yeah, let me just give me like 1 second, y'all. Hold on. Give me 1 sec. Still shows that here on your screen. Yeah. So yeah. Either way, man. I'm gonna be talking about Shakur Stevenson today, and we're going to be chopping it up on some good topics today, and yeah, I can't wait. I have some good post fight thoughts about how I see this matchup going or how it went, but I think with everything that's been happening, it's just been like a very interesting turn of like events, and obviously we have Joe Joyce and Parker today, so right now like I'm watching like the female fight between Raven Chapman and Georgelina Guanini, so that's going to be a pretty good matchup. They're tussling, it out right now. Yeah, it's still not letting you hop in combat. I don't know what's going on. Yeah. Um. Wait, hold on. You know what? Maybe I could just like call you. Hold on. Uh. Yeah. Hold on. Let me just call you. It's not working. Not working. How about I call you? I call you on IG. Maybe that will work. All right, I'm gonna call combat and see if that makes a difference. All right, I'm gonna give him a call, and then if you guys can hear him, just let me know.
Yo,
Yo, what's up, bro?
nothing much. How's it going? Sorry about that. I'm trying to connect several times. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I don't know like what's going on, man. I think it's just like some weird I think it could just be server connections, honestly, because if you have like a certain type of phone that's not connected with the StreamYard software, that might prevent you from hopping on. Otherwise, it should be like a one-way public connection.
Yeah, like when I was on Skywalker's live, he had put the link in the chat, and I went to his chat that way. I'm not sure if you put the link in the chat if it'll work that way, but I don't see why it would be different sending it via IG or via
Yeah,
YouTube. But typically, when I click the link, it works. But I don't know why it's not showing now.
yeah. Tim actually joined let the panel, so
What's up,
he's
bro?
on.
What's going on, Sky?
Hey, how you doing, brother? Yeah, taking the wife out to the Indian reservation out of town, man. Go visit her family. So, little road trip.
Oh, oh.
Yeah. We're here at Walmart right now, bro. Let me show you.
Getting ready for that trip.
Yeah, there's a Walmart. I'm sure my wife went in there with
Yeah,
the kid.
pop up.
I'm antisocial, man, with Walmart, bro. I'd be getting mad in there, bro.
I
Yeah.
definitely
Yeah,
dig it.
Yeah, that was a good fight last night, man. Shakur dominated, huh?
yeah, he did really
Yeah,
good.
man, it was a phenomenal card.
It was a great card. All the prospects on it, man, are great, man. Jahai Tucker, Shushu. That was a good card, bro.
I
Yeah,
got a question. Can y'all order the fights from most impressive to least impressive?
Okay. Man, Keyshawn Davis, bro. I'm telling you, kind of. I'm not. I think Shakur was a little. I think was the best performance of the night because them two, you could tell the skill level was way up there. You know what I'm saying? Um, but I'd have to say because yeah, there wasn't that. I'd say because of the knockout, bro. We got a knockout. Um, from Davis. You know what I'm saying? From Keyshawn. So I'm thinking Keyshawn and Shakur are neck and neck. Jahai Tucker I just want to see more power. He did damn good. He can move. Like he was slick with it. You know what I'm saying? Like letting off combinations, but he didn't really put out his opponent. You know what I'm saying? Shushu, he had a hurt hand, bro, and then they had to cut his glove off and shit. His hand was swollen. Um, I think he did good, and he faced adversity. Like he faced some trouble. You know what I'm saying? And came through it with no problems. Um, Man, it was just a good card, bro. I don't know who was your favorite fight last night.
So if I had to order it for like most impressive to least impressive,
Right.
if Shakur's wasn't if it wasn't a 12-round fight, Shushu would be number one, but I'm just going to order it properly. So Shakur number one, obviously, because he was fighting the gold medalist in Conceicao.
Right. A lot of people say he's undefeated because they say he beat Valdez. So you're looking at an unblemished fighter with 18-0.
That's how I look at it too. I'm like, if you look at, or I wanted to look at it, the issue is Conceicao didn't show us the same Conceicao we were used to seeing. Robson is a lot more slicker, a lot better of a boxer than he displayed. He was very sloppy last night. He was lunging and reaching, and that is not what I'm used to seeing from him. I'm used to seeing him close the distance effectively. But I mean, we'll get into breaking it down. But Shakur number one,
Right.
because of the challenge. Number two would be Shushu for me because he displayed that with
Right. What I was saying, yeah, that he came through some problems. Came through it, yeah.
Yeah, he could still show us that he's not only he not only will survive the fight, but he'll still dominate the fight. So that was impressive. Like, whereas like when Tank hurt his hand, he went from winning the fight to just coasting, to just trying to coast,
His
to
shit
just
was
trying to
perfect.
survive.
Yeah, Tank shit was
He was
jacked.
still trying to hurt the guy,
Yeah.
Sean falls third, and then Jahai Tucker fourth, only because Keyshawn at the 4 or 5 fights he has, the guy had 30 fights. Granted, he's not super lethal, super deadly, but the guy still has much more experience. So there are little things that Keyshawn wasn't used to seeing. And then Jahai Tucker, like I like the boxing ability of Jahai Tucker. I'm not with all of these guys, and I say this with all respect, but with all of the prospects, the level of cockiness needs to come down at least 50-fold. Like confidence is good, but the level of confidence, of cockiness they have, like they all present themselves to be world beaters, and then we see them, and we're like let's be real, Jahai Tucker, what weight class was that?
147.
Yeah, Walter.
Like, come on now. Like, who is he beating at 147? Like, if he was in there with the top guys right now,
Mark
Reyes standing in with?
Like,
he's young. I think he needs development. I think his boxing ability is great, bro. That kid's been in. I know his uncle. I know his. Do you know Showtime Shaw? Combat.
Yeah, Showtime Shaw.
Yeah, Showtime Shaw. That's his uncle, bro. That's his promotional manager. So I've been following him high. But man, I like to see him more. I like him to see him grow into that man body, bro, and get some of that power. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything else is good.
I'm just going based off of what I seen last night. Like, just going based off of what I seen last night. I don't see him being like
he was doing this, like feed me.
Like Tiger Johnson is a threat at 147 from what he's displayed to us. Now, I don't know the level of like from the level of competition we saw yesterday, dude was able to actually press him. So I feel like as opposed to taunting and telling them to come and meeting them in the corner and stuff like that little Vikingo, how about you go kick his ass and get him out of there instead of like I'm not saying he's missing anything. I just need to see more. And I felt like everyone had a very they kind of made a statement. She made a statement, regardless of if I got a hurt hand or not, I'm gonna demolish the guy. Keyshawn, regardless of what amount of fights my opponent has, I'm gonna stop the guy. Shakur, I said I'm gonna go beat this motherfucker ass, and that's what I did. But it's like with Jahai Tucker, it's like I follow him on IG as well. He's very, very confident, and that's why he was kind of like the icing on the cake where I was like, all right, these guys got to bring the confidence down some and just like you have to have self-belief. You have to have confidence. But the way they talk about themselves, and not just Jahai, but all of these prospects, they talk like how Teofimo talks. Oh, I don't respect no man. I'm the best there is. Nobody's fucking with me.
Right.
See him get in there and go tooth and nail with some guy who is an actual opponent. Like, he's just an opponent. He's not a world beater. Yeah. He's not a contender. He's not a former champion. He's not any of those things. So
yeah, I understand. It's too early for the cockiness on them fighters. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. If you're going to claim you're a world beater, show us you're a world beater. And last night I didn't see a world beater. I see the technical boxing. It's like, be confident in your boxing ability. State no one can outbox you. That's not being cocky. That's being confident. But when you're like, it's game in time and watch how I'm stepping. I'm too slick for these guys. They're not messing with me. And I'm like, even in the highlights he posted, he was getting touched in it. And it's no disrespect. I'm just being critical from a boxing analyst standpoint. You feel me? So that was my order. But J-Rod, come on, brother. I gotta hear your order of best performance to worst.
Oh man, let me go with the worst performance. First of all, I want to say F you to Antoine Cobb. You are garbage. You should have lost both of your fights to Jalen Phillips. Jalen Phillips destroyed you. That's number one.
I didn't see that one, bro. Was that on the first fight I seen was Jahai Tucker and on, bro? I tuned in at 8:00 Eastern your time.
Yeah, Jahai. I will talk about him soon, but the second worst fight had to been I probably say the hmm, I'll say Pablo Valdez and Noe Alejandro Lopez. Like
Yes.
I don't really like Pablo too much because one, he's connected with Edgar Berlanga, and knowing that Berlanga's peoples, he probably knows, about Kana Loco a lot, and there's like some somewhat bad blood, with that type of stable, that probably
Okay.
knows, like, some of us out here, but I don't really like Pablo Valdez too much, but his opponent just basically came down to get knocked out. He wasn't making any effort to like try to win the fight, and I just don't really like how Top Rank matchmaking tries to say that they're the best in the game of matching up good fights, but at the end of what the day, they're really not. Top Rank matchmaking is like in my opinion, it's really garbage because I've been to two top ranked fights. I've been to the Joe Smith Jr. Steve Gefford fight, and I've been to the Edgar Berlanga and the Alexis Angulo fight. And I will tell you from my own, perspective, those fights are easily matched up to be like basically, lopsided fights where they're
Absolutely.
where their promoted fighter is there to either stop their opponent or just beat them up, where they don't get touched up that much. So
Yeah,
there's a
I
reason.
the fighters up pretty good, man, and they
Yeah,
give a pretty easy comp, bro, in the beginning. I like they do have some good competition fights, bro, but they kind of wait till their fighters are already developed, like they've already got like a name for them. They're branding their fighters, bro. So I understand what they're doing on the business side, but at the same time, yeah, we us fans like the competitive fights. You know what I'm saying?
I think, can I jump in there too, real quick? Just, I agree with both of you guys there. I would disagree on one thing. I say they're good at matchmaking the fighters they're building, they're stars, and that's it. And it's partially what you were saying, K-Rod, and what you were saying, Sky, and that's they're not they're not testing their prospects at all. And it's like once they give them, typically, all of the stars leave, and that's when they start to get tested, and then that's when we see what real quality of a fighter they are. But I would say they have good matchmaking for the ability to build their fighters, which is just giving them garbage hits. But back to you, K-Rod. My bad.
yeah. But the biggest takeaway from it is that you're paying like 50 to almost $100 a ticket to go see notable names on a card. So you would expect like the fight to be leveled match opponents, but it's really not. Like these are either fighters that are coming from the other side of what the world to get beat up for a lesser bag, or it's their, hyped up fighter that's going to be paid good, beating up on competition that's going to give them some potential resistance, but it's really not going to go to the point where they're going to end up getting stopped or getting beat up.
If you had an opportunity in the future, bro, and you start whooping ass and moving up, bro, and PBC comes up to you, Top Rank comes up to you, and DAZN comes up to you. PBC offers you the lowest, Top Rank offers you in the middle, DAZN offers you the most. What would you do?
The zone.
Got a question for me.
Because like think about it.
Sorry.
Like I'll even use Raymond Ford. He's been fighting literally nobodies, but you can easily tell that he's satisfied where he's at because he's been on big cards. The zone's been giving him good money. And then on top of that,
Bro, Nonito and Rachel, they love Pro Bellum, bro. They love Richard Schaefer. They say that they treat him like fucking royalty, and that they're so good to him. They've never been crooked to him. Like
yeah,
Nonito and them have a good
An
relationship.
exception to the rule, though, because no, Nito has legendary status at this point.
At that point, yeah, of course you're gonna get treated
One
like
of the
that.
best. He's literally, sorry.
Yeah, I understand you're gonna get treated like that. Yeah,
Yeah, you feel me? Like he's literally an exception to the rule because he's one of the greatest
right.
fighters and like recent history. You feel me? So he's going to get good treatment from PBC, Top Rank, any of the guys, the zone, any of the guys. But I feel like from the guys coming up, like the guys coming up, I would agree. Like I don't know, like the zone, they have a setup where they're giving their fighters the money, and they're giving their fighters a platform, and I don't mean a platform like Showtime or Fox or Top Ring, where it's on the like biggest network in the world, but they're giving them a platform where the up and coming fighters are fighting on cards of bigger fighters. So they're still getting eyes on them that they wouldn't get on them unless they were on a big platform such as Fox or Showtime or ESPN. So
Right.
I think, again, Nito is an exception to the rule with Probellum, because if you look at Regis Prograis scenario, or if you look at the other
Yes, I think
fighters
yes.
to MTK Global,
I've
that,
seen a lot of
that
negative.
it makes it touchy and feely, because
Yeah.
with the affiliation with David Kinahan, a lot of people would want to stay away from it. And I think, again, Nito Donaire is an exception to that rule because he has pre-existing history in the sport.
Yeah, but yeah, they always say, they talk highly, and I always respect, anybody if they're in a good relationship with their promoter or manager. I'm never gonna ask these shady questions to him, be like, hey, because I asked Nonito about Daniel Kinahan, bro, and they interviewed him right away, bro. Like he knew him, and he had never met the guy in his life. You know what I'm saying? And they were interviewing, asking him if he knew about the situation, and he's like, no, bro. So
see, and I wouldn't ask him. Personally, I wouldn't ask Nonito anything about Daniel Kinahan because I wouldn't want to tie him to anything that would prevent him from getting money.
I forgot who did.
But
We had a panel going, bro. And Rachel, bro, she told us, man, she stayed on our show for like 2 hours, and she told us like everything about the current situation.
That confirms what I had my suspicions about Probellum when they first came into Inception. After, like, not after, but right. I mean, well, not came into Inception, but came to prominence right after the TT Global disbanded. And it was like, they're basically confirming that here from the horse's mouth with is Nito, who's in contract with them, that A, Daniel Kinahan is involved, and then B, what's the restrictions that come with that and fighting in America?
Yeah.
So it just makes it a touchy scenario. That's why I personally would like answering your question that you asked before. Like if you were being built up as a fighter and so offers the least to the most, even if Probellum, like in Richard Schaefer, who's well known, like has great resources, I would be very cautious of that only because of the legal affiliation.
Hey, check this out. I'm friends with Casimiro too, right? So he's got a situation with Sean Gibbons where he left Sean Gibbons and MP Promotions, the Filipino promotional, the ones that had Pacquiao and all that. So he left them, bro. Left them on a contract, bro. So he's got legal issues. They're gonna be suing him, right? So he's in the UK. He's like Mike Tyson, bro. He's got legal issues. They say that he sexually assaulted a girl in his hotel, and the girl was 17, and it's some bullshit, bro. And but the dude, he's a great fighter, right? He's on his rise. They wouldn't let him fight. He's always having problems. They wouldn't let him fight. Who's anyway fighting Butler? Yeah, he wouldn't let him fight Butler because he used a sauna, bro. And I guess the UK has a rule on cutting weight where they can't use a sauna.
What?
Yeah, so they wouldn't let him fight. That's the reason why he couldn't fight. And he's still stuck in the UK. He always goes live. Follow him on YouTube, man. He has his own channel. And so the guy's got issues, problems. He's a great fighter. Supposedly he's gonna have a fight in December. And like you look at his box rec, he fought everybody, bro. And like he was on the rise, bro. He was gonna get that fight with Inoue. He would have beat Butler. That would have been the fight. It would have been Japan and Philippines again. It would have been Casimiro and Inoue, bro. But
I would have liked to see that just because he be my guy at Rigo, It's like so. I naturally have like, and it's nothing against Casemiro. It's just I really was rooting for Rigo.
Right.
Like after that result, I would have loved to see basically another Polynesian match. That would have been Casemiro and Inoue, and that would have been dope as hell too because Inoue gave us one of the best Asian matches, let alone one of the best light bantamweight matches in history.
Right.
Casemiro would have done a good job too. I just I'm sorry. Uh, I think Casemiro like once out of the legal conflict, we we'll get to see what his real merit is because he beat Rigo. I respect him for that, and that cannot be taken away. Now I want to see, like, as someone who has an open mind watching him, who wasn't a fan before, like what he's fully capable of.
Right. Yeah, man.
Right.
Yeah, he's got a crazy situation, but you would think like any promoter would want to pick him up, but since he's got all them issues, they're hesitant of you know what I mean, making a deal with him.
Yeah, and that's the hurt piece about it because it's like you come off of the biggest fight of your career, being a two-time gold medalist, and then all of these legal problems surround you. And I think part of it is part of it is some of that comes with the game. Like Gervonta Davis just had the hit and run, and that's going to be a
yeah, let's go to court and it's in December. I heard.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's a conflict of interest for his fight in December. And then when you look at Casemiro, who did everything right in the ring, his out of the ring, quote unquote activities. I say quote unquote is alleged. His activities out of the ring are now a conflict of interest for his progress in the ring, and that sucks. It really sucks because I'm sure he's in the gym. I'm sure he's working. I'm sure he's ready.
Yeah, I gotta get going, guys. My wife's rushing me. She says, "Let's go." Say hi to everybody.
Hello.
Say hi.
Say that again.
My wife's rushing me to go, man. I gotta drive, bro, and I won't be able to hear you with this AC, man. But say hi, babe.
Take it easy, bro. Thank you for stopping by.
See you later.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, we're in the car. But yeah, I'll be getting that gear from you soon, bro. I'm gonna be rocking it on my show, bro, soon. So, hey, K-Rod, he's got nice shirts, bro. Yeah, those champion shirts, bro. I want to get a bag too.
Yeah,
but cool, bro.
Yeah, like I like to get some of that stuff too.
I get paid Friday, so I'm gonna get that merch. My wife owes me shirts.
I need me like a boxing gym.
Yeah, my wife. It was my birthday, so I told her I wanted some boxing shirts, man. She was trying to give me another DJ shirt.
I gotta give me some too.
Yeah, you got good gear, bro. Real nice. Cono Loco has gear on there too.
Yes, sir.
Cool, man. Support the brothers. All right, man. I'm gonna head out. I gotta go to the Navajo reservation. You guys have a blessed day.
Definitely enjoy your time, man.
Yeah, definitely, man. I'm gonna try to catch this top rank card. Hopefully, I got service out there. So, or I mean, not top rank, but matchroom card. Yeah. Cool, man.
Watching this undercard right now, but definitely travel safe, bro. Have a good one.
You too, bro. Cool, man. Bye.
K-Rod.
Yes, sir.
I didn't mean. Neither of us meant to interrupt your order from worst to best, but continue. Start back at the top, so that's fresh on people's minds.
Yes, sir. All right, let's get right into it. The very, very worst fight out of the entire fight, in my opinion, was definitely Pablo Valdez and Noe Alejandro Lopez, in which I originally had Antoine and Jalen, but they're both. Well, I don't like Antoine Cobb, but yeah, he should have lost both fights to Jalen. And then the third worst fight out of this card, I probably will go with probably Misael Lopez and Orlando Capo Gonzalez. It's not the shade on Orlando, but Misael Lopez, he's a decent fighter, but he's not like a super duper world beater type of fighter. But Orlando, he was supposed to get the job done to stop him or just beat him. But I actually thought Orlando could have edged this fight. It's just that Misael in like the later rounds either could have edged it out slightly or Orlando should have won that fight. So either way, like Kapu, he's a good fighter. It's just that he has to work on certain things to not allow himself to get hit in the exchanges for him to lose, those close rounds. But
right,
either way, he's a good fighter. It's just that I just don't see that many improvements. Because like I was there for his last fight back in June for Puerto Rican Day Parade at the Madison Square Garden. But from what I could tell with this fight, it's just like he didn't get any better from that knockout victory. I mean, it wasn't even like a knockout; it was like a very weak, referee stoppage. But still, it's just like like I said, top ranked matchmaking is, in my opinion, garbage matchmaking. So it's like you
Yeah,
don't know what you're gonna expect coming from like another opponent that's gonna walk in there and beat you up or just barely beat you on a in a very close fight. So
agree.
you have to be ready. Like I'm not I'm never going to say that you can't win a close fight, but the thing is like everybody's too hyped up on being like a Floyd Mayweather where they want this undefeated record, but it's like boxing is not a high level, you have to be perfect type of athletic sport. Boxing is a ring of fire heavy level endurance sport where every fight could be your last, but you should never look at your fights to say that I'm just going to blow through everybody, because you may win some and you may lose some. But that's why
Agree.
that's why when you look at other combat sports like wrestling, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and MMA, those athletes don't care about wins and losses, because you just get better from it naturally. That's what I went through when I was in high school doing wrestling. But the thing is I think people are so enamored with having a undefeated record in boxing that people try to act like your favorite fighter can't lose, and it's like that's just such a mentally retarded, weak, mindset to have, because it's like either, you're not like a true boxing fan for the fighter that you like, or you just don't care, about the sport where some people have to win and some people have to lose. And regardless if that person wins or loses, that doesn't mean that the other fighter is better than them. They just got them, on a bad night or, on their best night. And that person just came to
Right.
fight.
I agree. There's a stigma with that Floyd stigma where it's like you're only good if you're undefeated, and everyone outside of that is bums. But if we look at it from a legacy standpoint, for the most part, most of the undefeated people in this day and age are prospects who haven't fought anybody. And
Yeah.
if we look at the grand scheme of boxing, the bigger picture, all of our favorite fighters have losses, if not multiple losses. And we're talking about favorite as in the general consensus or the greatest on paper, like Ali to the Foremans and the Ray Leonards and the
Tony
Haglers, like
Tubbs,
all of them.
Michael Nunn, all these
Yes, Nunn,
classical. Yeah.
Tony,
Yeah. It's like
Julio Cesar Chavez, Salvador Sanchez. None of these guys were undefeated.
Diego
All of these guys
Corrales,
lost.
Edwin Valero,
Not, Jose Luis Castillo,
Tito
uh,
Trinidad.
the list goes on and on. Yeah,
Yeah.
Felix Trinidad, Ricky Rack, they all have losses, but it's like it's just that Floyd stigma. But again, I didn't mean to interrupt your recap of the night. It's just I had to piggyback on that.
Yeah. But it's like even even for you, I'm still gonna support you whether you win or lose. But it's like even though that you go through like your battles of trying to be better, that that's what gives me the respect to keep supporting fighters like that, because you're like a throwback fighter. You don't care what the outcome is. You care about just being the greatest of what you can be, right?
Yes,
So
absolutely.
shit, that's why that I'm like a old throwback type of student. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not that type of person where I expect every fighter to be perfect. But if you could show me the effort of going back to your roots and going back to the drawing board, whether you win or lose your fight, to keep getting better and just keep showing like a different level above your future, upcoming like opponents, and that's all that I can really ask for, just to be like a dedicated fan.
I agree with that 1,000%.
Yeah. But yeah, with like the other fights, the least performance fight that I had ranked for number 4 would be definitely Floyd Diaz versus that Martinez dude. Like I like Floyd a lot, but I think Floyd he's like a little bit too overhyped, and even though he's 19 years old, it's just like I could already see what Top Rank is gonna do with him. Either they're gonna try to like hype him up to be like this Mexican version of Floyd Mayweather, but I don't really see his scaling being high, especially in the bantamweight division, because once Naoya Inoue moves up, and I'm pretty sure like after Gary Antonio Russell he gets through whatever he needs to get through to become a champion, in which I do believe that. I think bantamweight's just going to be a very deadly division because
Yes, sir.
you know especially everybody coming up from super flyweight up, up to bantamweight, and especially at the super bantamweight division, which I do believe Floyd he'll probably campaign at that division soon. But either way, like I just don't see like this great talent that people try to put in front of my face about him. Like he's a great talent. It's just that he just has like a lot of climbing to do.
Yeah.
Um, and the other fight that I was like least impressed about was Jahai Tucker against Jose Sanchez, and
Same.
I was very surprised that Sanchez took his shots very well because I thought Sanchez was gonna knock out Jahai because he was hitting him with some bombs.
That's what I was saying. Like again, I didn't interrupt him, but I was just like, I didn't see this separation in like upper echelon skill level and an opponent with that fight. I seen basically an evenly yoked fight. So I was like, I didn't get the taunting that Jahai Tucker was doing, where he was getting beat in some exchanges and he was getting hit hard. So I was just like, how about you win the fight first when you start celebrating? But continue, sorry.
I mean, the thing is like he thinks he's gonna be like this. I don't know, like to me, he's like equivalent to Chris Colbert. Like he's just he's just like this super flashy guy, thinking that he's gonna come in there, take everybody's head off, and nothing's gonna happen to him. But the minute he gets hit with like a really good shot, I guarantee you he's gonna literally be waiting to be knocked out on a highlight reel KO. Because it's like like dude, he just doesn't he doesn't show anything good, to me. Like he's very flat footed. He just stands right in front of
Yeah,
you.
there's nothing spectacular.
Like
Nothing spectacular.
also on top of that, don't you see how they're only matching him up with guys that just stand right in front of him? The only person
Right.
Yeah, the only person
So
that has ever moved around was probably, you know, like I probably say Akeem Black, but that's pretty much it. Oh, and also Tracy Magruder. Tracy Magruder was giving him
yeah.
some tough rounds, but after that, that was pretty much it. Like I mean, everybody else had just stood, right in front of him, and he's just been able to just get away with it to like try to hurt them, with like a one big shot, and then try to get like a knockout.
And I think, like you said, the comparison to Chris Colbert is very fitting. And it's no offense to him. I don't mean it for any like this. I think the comparison to Chris Colbert fits because Chris Colbert is a slick boxer. He's a very good boxer. He doesn't have any um, astronomical power, and he doesn't have any extremely crazy special effects, hence the gimmicks. And then when you look in the other direction, Jahai Tucker, it's like you see a good boxer, you see someone who doesn't have spectacular power, you see someone who doesn't have spectacular move work, foot movement or crazy special effects, but you get this the overarching conceitedness, the same conceitedness from both guys. So,
Yeah,
but yeah,
I mean, honestly, like he just needs to keep improving in the gym, and I think eventually, we'll start to see him do more. But it's just like I just don't see what I'm seeing right now, and I think like especially in the welterweight division, it like there's way too many killers in the welterweight division, and I could
preach.
like I can name like five people that can easily knock him out right now, like Mark Reyes Jr.
Exactly. Stop
Yeah,
it.
Mark Reyes Jr. Who's that other guy from Florida? He's a really, really good fighter. Henry Brown, right?
Yeah.
Yo, he's a killer. Um, Janelson Figueroa, even though he got beat by by that other dude that's trained by Coach Chino Rivas. That other fighter named oh man, he's like I think like 10-0. I forgot what his name is. Oh,
And mind you, you're go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, I was gonna say Paul Kroll. Paul Kroll would knock him out too.
And mind you, you're naming people at or close to his level. You didn't even name the contenders or champions at the division.
No.
So it's like, or even the prospects. So it's like, dude, like you have a long way to go to feel before you start feeling like you're that dude. That's why I feel like in comparison, like when you look at him, Ty Tucker, and then Tiger Johnson, you got Tiger Johnson, who's allegedly beating up Terrence Crawford in the gym. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah. Like I heard about that. I heard about that.
You know,
shit.
yeah. So you got that, and then him giving spectacular performances where he's showing he's a class above. I'm saying that to say, no disrespect.
Jahai Tucker better stay away from Delonte Johnson.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
yes, sir.
Yeah, he better stay away from him.
I say that to say, with all respect, that like there's a lot more development needed before you start securing your world leader. Like you can have Dogman, you want to fight anybody out there, but those aren't the things that I'm hearing. I'm essentially hearing I'm untouchable, I'm the best, I'm the greatest out there, and you're in one of the most deadly divisions with people who are already prospects who are more popular and more deadly from what we can see. Then there's contenders above that. Then there's champions above that. So it's like you really have to. There's a lot more to prove, I think, for him, and maybe we're both being a little critical. I mean, a little hard on him, but it's a hard division to succeed in. So you have to be, you know.
Yeah.
So that's my take on him.
And I mean, like, what is gonna happen once he gets up there in like the top 10 or top 100? Like, I don't see
the Jamal King is the Ugas is the like. Come on, man!
Yeah,
like
but it's like
you weren't champion or contender. Like
yeah, but it's like once that division is cleared out, like once Errol Spence is gone, once Ugas and Thurman are gone, and probably Jaron Ennis, like the next line of welterweights, especially coming from 140 and below, that's gonna be a very deadly division for Jahai Tucker. Like Subriel Matias,
Gary
Shenard.
Russell.
There's another good fighter. His name is Shenard Bunch. I think he fights at 140, but he's a killer once he moves up to welterweight. And I'm pretty sure he's fought at welterweight before. But it's like guys like that coming from 140 that have like a good frame for 147. And on top of that, they have a lot of power and a good chin, because like that's basically what you have to have when you come into the welterweight division. Mark Ray has told me that in the past, you have to have a good chin and you have to have a good punch, because if you don't have that, then it's basically game over. Because it's not to say that you can't dominate the welterweight division without having deadly power, but the thing is like these are guys that are rehydrating to at least maybe middleweight or super welterweight. So it's like
preach.
Yeah, they're like super soldiers.
Middleweight or higher, middleweight or super middleweight.
Yeah.
Let's speak facts. I mean,
yeah, welterweights are not small people.
Admittedly, were more than 160.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, welterweights are not small people. They're very ginormous fighters, and especially when you move up in weight in those higher weight classes, those guys are not coming in at the same weight. They're coming in at least 15 to 20 plus pounds, over their actual weight.
Yes, sir.
So those punches are not feeling, like the same punches. They're very destructive punches that could really end your life, or definitely, make you not perform as good heading into like future fights. So that's why, it's highly necessary to take your time when you step up, with the opposition, because some of those guys just don't play like around. They be coming in to like really hurt you.
Right, and you got to think it's probably the most balanced division in boxing, because you have the power punches, you have the super skilled boxers, but you have to have essentially both some really good skill and some really respectable power at welterweight, because that's as big as you can be before you're actually at the middle of all of the division, which would be the start of middleweight. So you have to be literally a strong, basically the strongest of the little guys, because this is the last, welterweight would be the last of the little guys division, because right above that is junior, middleweight, and then middleweight. So if you don't have pop, you're going to be Paulie Malignaggi, right? And
Pretty
then if you don't have a
much.
chin, you're going to be Paulie Malignaggi. So it's like you have to make something shake. And what we're seeing, just to tie it back in, Kai Tucker, he has skill, but he's not necessarily showing us the power that's respectable enough to keep guys honest. We see guys running at him, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah. And on top of that, you're just like, like if you're not putting yourself in there with guys that are going to physically, put you in a bad place, then that's really where the issue lies. Because like you're not putting yourself in a good position where you're not in there to actually go to war with somebody. But if you're coming into your fights being all comfortable and just thinking, oh well, this guy, he's not going to do anything to me, I'm just going to roll right through him, then that's a really bad mindset to have, because once you get offered to fight for like a title contention placement and you're not breeding yourself with the deadly level opposition that will put you into deep waters, then that's just
Yes.
game over, Like you can't tell me like, oh no, like, you can get up to like a world title by just fighting like a bunch of bums. No, you can't fucking do that. And then even
Unless
when
you're
you
Bud.
do, yeah, like I mean, like I'll just use like a guy like, man, who was that one guy that was just so overhyped? But like, shit. I mean,
uh,
hmm,
Gotti probably. Arturo Gotti or Mickey Ward.
yeah. Like I'll use Arturo Gatti, even though that I like him a lot, and he was like one of my favorite fighters that I liked. But he was touted to be like the next big thing. He was taking over 140, right? But then the minute he gets stumped by like heavy level opposition that nobody doesn't talk about, it's like his skill set slowly depletes over time, and he doesn't look as good against like low tier opposition. So it's like you could tell that Arturo Gatti, he's not, he wasn't as good as people try to make him out to be. But it's like, looking at his resume, he's been fed weaker opposition leading up to like a world title, and then
Yes.
once he gets cooked by world title level, opponents, then that's where his skill set just slowly went downhill because he wasn't able to keep up. So I mean, that's just like a clear example of if you're not game bred with high level opposition, then your skill sets are automatically going to go down. And, that's
Okay.
why,
That's a point.
yeah, that's why that I don't like guys like Terrence Crawford and all these like weird ass fighters that don't want to fight high, high risky opponents. And then they call themselves pound for pound fighters, and they're not putting in all this work, like guys like Errol Spence, Devin Haney, Deontay Wilder. Like those guys are actually putting in like the work to be recognized in the sport forever. But for all these like weird ass overhyped fighters, like Crawford and those guys, like they're dipshits. Like I don't like them. Like
It's the same with me. I'm not gonna lie. Like it's literally the same with me, because there are two paths. There's the cross fighter path and there's the legacy fighter path. And both paths get you paid. So there's no reason to actually choose the prize fighter path, because by definition, all fighters are prize fighters. So if you're not going for legacy, then you're only going for the bag, and you're acting like Tank Davis and Terrence Crawford, where I want the money and I don't want no names, until people force you to fight a name, and then you'll fight people past their prime, and only enough to get people off your back. But then you have a legacy fighter who, regardless of the outcome, regardless of the opposition, he wants the best. So naturally, I'm gonna respect Jordanius Ugas because he's calling out Boots after losing to Earl Spence.
Oh,
What does
really?
that say about that man's character? Yes.
Oh,
What does
man.
that say about that man's character? Though he can't win that fight. Though he can't win that fight. What does
Hey,
that
you
say about
never
that
know.
man's
You
character?
never know.
Right,
Ugas.
right, right. You
Wait,
never know. You never.
wait. If
But
Ugas comes back really strong, after like a Errol Spence defeat, and he looks just as good as he did in that fight against Boots, that could be a very potential losable fight for Duran. Because the reason why I say that is that Ugas, he's a big welterweight, and if he could hurt Duran Ennis with that pressure, that fight of its own could easily turn the tables theoretically.
yes, now granted, I think he could hurt Jerron Ennis. The issue is who is going to get hurt first in that fight, and that will be Ugas because of the speed and power and size of Boots. Because Boots is 5'10" and a half. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
he's not a small welterweight by any stretch. And then he
yeah,
has the longest reach at welterweight after Bud. So it's like going into that fight, someone who has like you guys have footwork problems. So you can literally outplay him dancing around him before he breaks him down and stops him. Whereas Ugas, he has to wait for the counter to actually try to attempt to land and break you down. So that's why I say it's obviously you can't win scenario where anything can happen in boxing. But the point of that is his heart, the merit, the test of his.
yeah. And I think that's what makes that style matchup very interesting because that's like the type of matchmaking fighters should always go through. Like I always like it when two fighters that have beef with each other, like when they actually do test each other out, and then that fight ends up being like a bloody war. Like that's a very good stylistic matchmaking to have because
Yes.
even though that you don't know who's gonna win that fight, or based off of like how people want to bet, the odds of that fight is very very unpredictable to the point where that one fighter's punch can easily change like the entirety of that fight.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Um. Performance. Do you think this was a good performance, or do you think he fought a little bit too relaxed, or he just didn't have the right mindset?
My issue is I think I'll start by saying it was a great performance only because, and granted, that's partially a true statement. It was a great performance because Conceicao did most of the work in making Shakur look better than this. Conceicao was sloppy. Conceicao was not concise. Robson, he was off. Like that was not a gold medalist performance. He was doing reaching, lunging.
Holding.
He was mainly looking for the two. Yes, the holding. Oh my goodness, the holding.
Yeah, he
But
didn't.
was
He
looking
didn't
for
want to
that
fight.
2-3. Say that again.
Nah, he just came in there just holding Shakur. He didn't want to fight him. He got
And I think
outclassed.
it was after Shakur landed a power shot to him. He was like, whoa. And he proved he had the same reaction that I had, except he actually felt it. Whereas I told OG Loco that Robson Conceicao are stronger than Shakur Stevenson. I said that with like emphatically. I said that like confidently. I was proved wrong thoroughly, and so was Robson in the ring last night because when Shakur landed on Robson Conceicao, he said, "I can't box this guy." People keep saying he tried to box him from the outside. No, he was trying to knock Shakur out from the outside because he was like, okay, so Shakur is stronger than me, so I have to stop him. I can't box with this guy. I have to try to stop him. And he kept shooting that looping wide overhand right, which is like the 6 in boxing, but he was like swinging it like a slapping punch. And granted, he landed it a couple of times, but not cleanly. And when you look at what Shakur was doing there, or someone who sees an opponent in front of them who says, I can't box with this guy, you have two options. You have one option, and that's to outbox him, and that's the way out which most people would criticize Shakur for. And then you have option B, which is I'm going to press this guy out and test his heart. And Shakur, granted, Shakur didn't show his magnificent lateral movement. He didn't show his mastery of range in that fight, like he typically does. But what Shakur did was press on the front foot like he did against Jamel Herring. And that's what a lot of people said he could not do. And that's why I say from a standpoint of if we're criticizing his performance and actually being objective, what he was able to do to Jamel Herring was almost predictable because Jamel Herring is not the strongest 130 pounder. But I felt Robson Conceicao probably was one of, if not the most strong 130 pounder, and he couldn't keep Shakur off his ass. I mean, Shakur didn't take a back step. Shakur was pulling, rolling, and slipping, but always in punch range. That's when Shakur showed me a different style last night, more of a James Toney-esque style than when, if you see the Joet Gonzalez or Natalia fight, those fights showed his footwork and his angles and showed that I can outbox you and I don't have to engage. But last night, he said, at the weigh-in, he said, I'm going to beat your ass. And last night, we seen him beat his ass. So that's my take on that.
Yeah, same here. He did what he was supposed to do, but I do believe that he was a little bit too timid in what he was trying to do to Conceicao, and I think it was just due to I think him missing weight, and then he probably came into that fight a little bit embarrassed. But either way, that doesn't really say that, oh well, just because I missed weight means I'm going to be mentally drained coming into the fight. But no, he did a tremendous job. He used his jab beautifully. He used his footwork immensely. He definitely made Conceicao miss a lot. I was a bit upset that Conceicao headbutted him where he had that big hematoma on his forehead. But either way, Shakur did a good job. He definitely needs to work on his footwork more and the defense more. Because I do believe once he goes up to 135 and faces the guys by the likes of Tank and Devin and maybe Loma, I think Lomachenko, he would probably stop him or just probably beat him off of points. But Gervonta, with that version of Shakur, I think Gervonta would brutally stop him. Devin might have the slight edge over him. He might. But the reason why I say that is because Devin, he hasn't faced that many southpaws like Shakur. And the thing is if Shakur was in there with a southpaw like Conceicao, if he was a southpaw that that can punch and he could also box on the inside to give Shakur problems, then that could have been a losable fight for Shakur. Because the problem that I have with Shakur is that he hasn't faced that many southpaws in his career. Nor, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think he's ever faced a southpaw. Well, actually, no. He fought Jamel Herring, but my point
I
is
think that's the only one. Yeah, I think that's the only one.
Yeah. My point is that
I think Chris Diaz may have been southpaw too, though. So it may have been those two.
No, I don't.
I think it may have been those two.
I don't think Pitufo is a southpaw. I think
no. Chris Diaz is orthodox. No, you're.
Yeah.
I think the only one he fought is Jamel Herring because Robson is orthodox as well. So
because Shakur throughout his entire career he's been fighting mostly orthodox fighters, and that's my biggest problem with southpaw fighters that don't fight a lot of southpaws. Because once you get up to that high level,
sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, he did. He fought the one Puerto Rican guy. He kind of looks like a.
Felix Caraballo.
Like Cotto.
Felix Caraballo.
Sorry.
Felix Caraballo.
Yes, him, and then also the Kota Khan.
Oh yeah. Toka Khan Clary.
Remember, he destroyed that guy though.
No, but he needs he needs a lot more veteran, high level, upper echelon southpaw experience. Because once you go in there with a guy like Tank or somebody that could punch. Especially from the southpaw school, that's just basically bad news. And I think
I agree with that.
Yeah, I think Shakur he'll be good with Tank once he gets that more higher tier experience, just to feel good with that type of style. Because I don't think anybody could ever prepare themselves correctly for Javante. But the best thing that you could do is find somebody that will emulate his style a little bit, and then you can have those
Yeah,
pieces shaped into your mind once you get into that fight with him. Because I would not want to say that Shakur should just go after Javante next. I think let the right mindset, if I'm Shakur, if I want to play, if I want to play like my cards right, would be like, let me go after Lomachenko, let me get him out the way, and then I should go after Devin Haney if you're able to get that fight before he moves up in weight, and after that you should go after Gervonta because
I would agree.
yeah,
I
because
think though, real quick, I think if before even Logan, I would at least get something at 135 to at least see the difference in the power and those guys at 35. All right, I take that back. I wouldn't say I would, because I would fight anybody anytime. Fuck that. But I think if I was before, because he no longer has the obligation or the expedited route with the title, he can exploit that to prepare himself for 135. You see what I'm saying?
yeah,
Because he's not going right up into title contention, right up to number 1, 2, or 3 as far as the rankings. He can afford to get a test out to see how he's going to acclimate his body to the styles and to the body types of 135. Granted, it's only 5 pounds more than where his fighting weight was before, but he knows more than we know that the guys who are fighting at 130 and 135, where they're cutting down from is a little bit different. So,
yeah. So I think let the best like fight schedule for Shakur is like if he's going after straight, well, if he's going straight after let the champions, then Shakur and Devin could very well happen very soon. But if
yeah,
he's trying to get like a good fight in for 135, I think like him and Lomachenko would make like the most sense because Loma he doesn't have a belt, so and I personally believe Loma doesn't deserve crap. So I think if I'm
yeah,
Shakur, beat up Lomachenko, get him out of boxing completely, and then after that you go after Devin Haney, and then if he wants to go after Gervonta or any other top lightweight, maybe like a Frank Martin or whoever, I'm down for it. But I think like Shakur's end goal is to go after Devin Haney because if he can get Devin before Devin, moves up to 140, then that would make like the most sense because Devin Haney, he's undisputed, and that will be like a passing of the torch between both of them where they both respect
right,
each other and there's really no bad blood because they're both going to win, on both sides, regardless of who wins or loses. So it
yeah,
benefits both of them
for
to
giving us
say,
a great fight.
yeah, yeah. So like, if I'm Devin, I'd be like, yo, let me go get this opportunity in with Shakur, and then regardless of who wins or loses, that that's gonna be padded on the history books, forever. So I think
Now, one thing I think I did see last night is when when looking back on Devin and Core's relationship from interviews to up like everything accumulating up to last night, if we see in a line of questioning that Shakur received, it was very evident that they were forcing him into the call out of Lomachenko and Devin Haney. Now, I seen disappointment, but I seen like, all right, I'll play the game with Shakur calling out Devin Haney and Lomachenko. I seen disappointment because even in Devin Haney's response on Twitter, like with the little emojis, it seemed like they had come to an agreement because they were both mutually saying the same thing as far as that fight will happen later down the line, and they eventually foreseen it to be at a heavier weight class. And granted, for all of the titles, even though now it's for all of the titles, I just I I don't think he wanted Devin Haney. It didn't. I didn't sense that energy at all from from the post press conference interview. I mean, from the post press conference interview, or from the post fight interview in the ring. I didn't never since the interview. I want Devin Haney next. I'm willing to fight him next right now. Da 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 da. Granted, he said, "Yeah, I'll fight Devin Haney. I'll fight Lomachenko next. Whoever got all the belts, yeah, I'll fight them." But he was even in the Stay Ready boxing interviews. He was calling out Tank. He was calling out Loma. He wasn't really calling out Devin. They literally said, "Well, Devin Haney has all of the belts. Would you like to fight Devin Haney next?" That's literally a give me /lead question, a lead line of questioning. If you know anything about law, So when I look at that fight, it'll be a great fight at 135. But if not excuses, but if the statements that Shakur made about him struggling to make weight at 130 allowed him to miss weight at 130 and then announce moving up to 135, not announcing he's moving up to 135 and then missing weight, but the converse, the same should apply for Devin Haney. And I'm not saying that as a precursor so he can duck or get away from the fight. I'm saying that to say that Devin Haney has already told us that 135 has been too tough for him to make. And granted, he's fighting Kambosos because he's the only one who'd agreed to fight him. So he has to force himself to make this weight again. But I think realistically, Devin moves up, Shakur moves up, and that leaves Tank. That leaves Frank. Frank Martin, Tank Lomachenko, Frank Martin, Chris Colbert will eventually move up as well. So I would love to see Devin versus Shakur. I do believe at the moment Shakur has the outfights you advantage, and Devin has the outbox you advantage at the moment because Devin has never conceded to give up his mastery of range. Where Shakur, he's shown to be mentally weaker than Devin Haney because he's been swayed by the audience. And that's, instead of focusing on only winning, he's been being convinced by his promoter and convinced by the audience to put on entertaining performances, which brings me the long way to Tank and saying that can be very, very, very dangerous. You're getting to 135 where everybody hits harder than you. And then when you're calling out Tank like you for certain can beat Tank, and he's also stated for certain that the biggest fight for him is him versus Tank. And we know that Southpaw versus Southpaw, one of the most lethal punches that a Southpaw could throw on a Southpaw is the right hook. And Tank Davis has one of the most lethal right hooks, if not the most lethal right hook in boxing. So, all of that said, I feel Shakur, I agree. Shakur, if he wasn't going to move up and fight a bum immediately, he needs to fight Lomachenko. But we also have to take into consideration that Tank ain't fighting nobody. Tank hasn't been fighting anybody. Tank is the light-skinned Terrence Crawford. So when we look at Tank for what he is, we don't gain anything from even hyping up Shakur and Tank's fight. That's why I say that the Super Bowl in contradiction to the OG Colin Loco, the Super Bowl at 135 is Devin Haney versus Shakur Stevenson, because we have proof that both of these guys are fighting and will fight names because they have names. Tank Davis on the other hand, all of his names have asked you because it's either a matter of when he fought them or how his opponents fought them or what their weight was before they fought him, because he's on record pulled up at least 3 bantamweights to fight at 130 pounds. 3. And that's Tank Davis we're talking about. And one of them was Cruz that he knocked down with a body shot. One of them was the guy that hit with the right hook against the ropes. He never went down or out, but the ref stopped it there. Got that guy's name. And then there was another guy that he literally moved up from bantamweight. So I'm not on the Cervante Tank Davis hype train. I do respect his power. His power is undeniable. My issue, though, is his power tested against actual people his weight class, because we don't see him fighting people his weight class too often. Then when he does, we see performances like um, uh, um, Isaac Cruz and Yuri Gamboa. And when I said Cruz before, it was not in reference to Isaac Cruz. It was in reference to the guy who had a mohawk that he fought. So that's my take on that.
Yeah. I think that makes a really good case for how all three of these guys could easily let the biggest legacy fights for the best round robin between them. Because
Yes.
honestly, like, let's just say if Gervonta just blows through both Devin and Shakur, I mean, those fights are still going to be memorable to the point where they could very well fight each other like 3-4 times, in a row. And I would like to see that because if you could have like if you could have like a round robin tournament of like all your favorite fighters that should go up against each other, that would be like the best way to set it up. And I wish boxing had like, worldwide tournaments, almost like a Tekken in a way. You know what I'm saying? Like, have like a King of like the Iron Fist tournament, but have it like have it set up like like the have it set up like a high rollers type of fighting tournament where fighters just they just consensually agreed to be part of what be part of like a tournament, and they just go at it with each other, and the winner gets a shot at a world title plus like a big big money prize or something like that. I mean, this is
Bro, you're
minusing.
hinting at something so phenomenal, and that's why I say, like, if they can condense all of the fancy bodies into one, then he gets the Muhammad Ali Super Six, the World Super Six. Every
Yeah,
time you see a card, but no, we get boxing politics. But
yeah.
that Super Six, the World Series and boxing, like,
Like,
if we got that, we got the best.
if you
You know?
if you got rid of sanction bodies in boxing and everything was like completely marketized in like a league per se, where like every fighter has to fight the best opposition to be recognized, but if fighters want to let the money, but on top of that, like become a champion in their own right, it should be set up like a tournament for when you work your way up to become a champion. So therefore, if you win these tournaments, kind of similar to how amateurs, when they win tournaments, they get elevated to be fighting at these high level stake tournaments in which like minus from like all the corrupt politics that goes on in the amateurs. But if you had a setup like that, boxing would be on fire like every single weekend and every single day, because there would be no
Yes.
there would be no excuse for a fighter ducking another fighter. If you're not a part of this tournament to claim yourself, for fame and for high level legacy, then
Can't
nobody.
say shit.
Yeah, like people can't make this argument to say that this fighter ducked that other fighter because you didn't put yourself in that position to be the best. But the reason why fighters do that, and people that are dumb casual boxing fans that make up all this weird boxing political movement of this fighter ducking another fighter, is mainly because you have sanction bodies moving a fighter a certain way, and then you have corrupt promoters and management that works behind a fighter's team, where the fighter themselves, they can easily become their own boss. You don't need to have a manager and promoter telling you what to do. You just have that because other people told you to have it. So if you want to become successful, you should run your own career, like it's your own business, because this is you, like, this is you fighting, in the ring, like, nobody else is going to fight for you. So, in my honest opinion, as a consumer, if I like you as my fighter, I should be the one promoting you because you're the one giving me the product. And if you're gonna give me,
Yes.
yeah, if you're gonna give me like the best fights ever, I would like for boxing to be set up like that, because I do believe you could become that potential fighter to beat some high level dangerous fighters one day. But how can we know if that's gonna happen if we get robbed of that opportunity through the
Every
corrupt.
time out at that.
Yeah, yeah,
Not once or twice, but every time we see you. Like Demetrius Andre. Like,
yeah,
when's the last time we've seen Judy tested? We haven't seen Judy tested since maybe Willie Nelson,
Pretty.
or was it like we yeah, maybe Willie Nelson. Like I haven't seen him tested in a long time, and it's starting to bring that elite air down, and it makes him look like a domestic level talent because we only see him against Steelers and McIntyres or whatever the people he's fighting. Like we literally only see him against random UK guys, and British level boxing is not world level boxing.
No.
I mean, that's been proven a long time ago. So it's like, I mean,
it's funny because
we
all
need
these.
to see our fighters tested.
It's funny because all these idiots say that boxing started out in the UK, but that's not true. It actually started out in like, ancient Egypt back in Africa, and but the art of what the sport's been going on global for that time frame leading up to now. But when boxing revolutionized, it actually started here in America, where
Yeah,
all of your best fighters were Black American fighters. Predating
yeah.
after the American Civil War leading up to now.
Oh yeah, the Sam Langfords, the Joe Gans, the Hank Armstrong,
Hank
the
Armstrong.
all of those guys. Like all of those
I
guys. The
even I
sorry, go ahead.
even I even liked it when those guys were going up against each other like 5, 6 times, in a row. Like, those fights were like
Yes,
super old school, like retro, backyard fighting.
yes, it was. Like you got to think like Dick Romano and Sugar Ray Robinson fought how many times? 7 or 5?
Yeah, they fought like five,
Like
six
what the
times.
trilogy? 7 or 5 or 7 times? Like what is that? Like you don't even. There's not even a name for that. It's a series. Like they have a series of boxing or a fucking anthology or whatever. Like they have like literally a whole history together. Fucking trilogy. Where it's like if you got that nowadays, think about it. If Earl Spence and Terrence Crawford, like if Terrence Crawford is as good as we we anticipate, if these guys fought 5 times, like what? Like how gifted would we be as consumers? If if Wilder and Anthony Joshua fought 5 times, like what? Like
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So it's like I really don't feel I feel like we at most we get one and dones nowadays, but we don't get these guys truly testing themselves and truly trying to see someone prove who's the best. We got a bunch of people trying to get money and try to rob banks, and it's like I'm not in the business of supporting that. I don't get paid from supporting that. I gain nothing from supporting someone who's just hitting a lick or robbing the bank. I don't gain anything from that as a consumer and as a fan and as a lover of this sport. The only thing I gain um, is when I see the best fighting the best, or someone on the rise who is perceived to be a potential great fighting someone who's very difficult to fight. We need to see fighters tested, and if we do not, all we have is hype. You can't. We have to start getting in the mind state as the masses that you're not the goods until we see you tested. Fuck how pretty you look when you oddly shuffle. Fuck how pretty you look when you're slipping against somebody who's basically a one-armed fighter. You're not the goods until I see you tested. You can't be, because anything other than that is you have potential, and we all have potential. But the goods in boxing are gladiators. The goods in boxing are legacy fighters who will fight anybody, anytime, anywhere, and prove that by doing so.
Yeah. I mean, that's why that I liked how I was getting matched up in wrestling, because I had like literally all the best JV level, slash varsity level, opposition that I went up against. And, but the good thing that wrestling gives you is that, once you keep winning and you start progressing more, they start inviting you to all these tournaments. And if you also get into like the journeyman program, you actually go up against like top level notch, wrestlers all over like the country. And it's like almost like a UFC type of program. You know what I'm saying? Like you really
Yeah.
like, you really start understanding what the styles better, and it's like that gets you ready for, for like the professional level. And like I wouldn't say that's even comparable to the amateurs in boxing, because it's like journeyman is just simply just like a wrestling, service program where you get into it and then you actually start, being linked with like a bunch of stablemates that are around your weight class. So I think like
Wow.
I think if boxing had that more, if they had more of like a, amateur to like, I would still
Pro
say,
track, like an actual system
yeah, yeah, yeah.
to transition.
Have like a youth professional boxing league type program where, but the young guys that are starting out, they have like a proper system coming into the sport, versus like trying to
Yeah.
trying like versus trying to take all these risky fights going out to like other parts of the world, like, you going down to Mexico and fighting some guy that says that he has 4 or 5 fights, but to you, throughout, that entire fight. So,
Right.
you know, boxing needs to have like a universal matchmaking system where you should have like a proper understanding of who this opponent is, who their trainer is, who their stable mates are, who are they as a fighter. So you know that this opponent is a potential match for you to be a winnable, situational, victory.
Yeah. I mean, I agree 1,000%.
Yeah.
I just I hope that something gets put in place so that we're not wishful thinkers for the remainder of our time as fans of the sport, because something has to happen. Obviously, um, you're hinting at something very powerful, because the Olympics have taken note of boxing's amateur controversy and their conspiracies. That said, like, we need a better system to transition these kids um, from amateur to pro, and maybe the amateur system needs to be disbanded and rebuilt altogether. The questions that we never get to address. Like, we ask them, but we don't address them with the powers that be, because it works for the powers that be. You know?
Yeah. But if you had it set up where everything was left to markets to figure that out, and the business was set up by the fighters and the promotional networks, right? Just working,
Yes,
between each other, then that would be a lot easier for you as a fighter to get more fights instead of waiting up on what a promoter or a management has to say back to you to send you like a
that's a fact.
contract. Because like, why is it so easy for a UFC fighter to get a fight like every 3 to 6 months, but for a boxer, they have to be sitting on the shelf for 6 months to a year, and that's so much time being wasted out of your career where you could at least
Yes.
get you could at least get at least like 5 to 10 fights within that year. Like,
And what people don't get is, in athleticism, your career is not like it's not like that of a lawyer. Your career is only your prime. Whereas people can work a career and and thrive even when they're past their laboring prime. You're the athletes are trying to extend their prime so that they can um, benefit or milk their pro career. And it's like, if we're not seeing the best of them in that time and they're waiting on the shelves, then we're seeing their careers lapse. And then that's why we see these old fighters keep trying to get shots at what they missed on their time. And when you look at the mixed martial arts world, their setup is much better, which is why, like, not a lot of people know, like, my I love boxing. I prefer, in my career path will be that of an MMA fighter. You heard it here first. Like, I will be a legend in mixed martial arts, if anything. Um, in MMA, you have one sanctioning body per organization, and that is the organization themselves. So you have fucking UFC. Dana White is and Zuffa Heads are the only one you answer to. Bellator. The heads of Bellator are the only people you answer to outside of the State Athletic Commission. One MMA. The heads of there are the only people you answer. But when it comes to boxing, it's literally has been and always, well, not, I can't say always will be, but has been and is to this day the Wild Wild West, where we have a sanctioning body, no overarching commission that makes the rules for everybody, but a bunch of people just doing whatever the fuck they want, and it's almost like a secret society. If you're welcomed in, you can't speak about the industry secrets, and or else you'll be pushed to the outside and forced to try to find your own way back in. But if you don't speak of the industry secrets, then you will thrive if you have the proper setup, if you have the proper backing, if you have the proper business, and if you're worth someone who, if you're worth something who I or a promoter or a manager can benefit off of. So it's like, it's such a dirty game, it's such a frustrating game that it makes it easier and simpler to understand UFC, where you're like, all right, this guy lost last week, but he's still ranked this, and he's fighting that guy. That makes sense in my mind. Where you have the boxing, you're like, okay, this is the champion, his mandatory is so-and-so, but for some reason he's fighting at number 7. How in the hell does that make sense? You know?
Yeah, that gets me so pissed off. And then on top of that, like guys like Canelo, he could fight at catch weights, at a world title level, and it's like
Canelo weight 155. Like what the fuck?
How? It's like, dude, like shit like that just gets me pissed. It gets me so pissed off. But
because you're a real fan, you're not a casual. There's nothing that like, and I hate to say fan because there has to be some. No, an actual analyst. You're a boxing analyst because you're analyzing the sport and you're providing commentary. Providing commentary to apply to boxing's current events. So you're a boxing insider. So of course you're not liking the bullshit that you're seeing. And then me being a boxing professional, I'm not liking the bullshit that I'm seeing. But it's a game that we fell in love with and we're just constantly frustrated by it. It's truly a lovely relationship.
Yeah, I just wish boxing was set up like any other sport, like the NBA or NFL. Like, it would, like, literally boxing would be number one over every single sport. Like, seriously,
Agreed.
you can, if you could have like a perfect world of boxing, like boxing would be on fire like every single day. Like there would just be so many good fights from the men's and women's side. And then on top of that, without the women, like, even though that I love women's boxing a lot, but this 2-minute bullshit needs to go. But there also needs to be like 12-round fights now. Like, I want to see like the full distance for both men and women. Like, because like I be hearing like some of these weird like female boxing advocates saying that they want 3-minute rounds, but they don't want to go let the full distance. For like a world title fight. Like, if you're going to be advocating for that, you should be going for like the same amount of rounds and minutes. There shouldn't be no double standard, because it's like just because you're like a woman doesn't give you that, bypassing just to say that, you can't go, 2 more extra rounds.
Yeah, and I agree 1,000% with that. I mean, I've been in the gym with women, I've been in the gym with national champions who are girls. Like, they train like the guys. Like, they're not scared of 2 minutes. I mean, they're not scared of 3-minute rounds. The girls who are kind of advocating for 2-minute rounds or advocating for less time than the men, again, that's a testament of character, merit, and your will as a fighter, because there are people who are willing to go out there and fight for 15 rounds. But you guys have 10. And it's 10 2-minute rounds, and that's 20 minutes, and that's less than mixed martial artists, women and men are fighting. But when you look at, because mixed martial artists are fighting for 25 minutes or 15 minutes, right? 5 5-minute rounds or 3 5-minute rounds.
Yeah, I think
boxing, Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say I think female MMA fighters fight the same minutes as men in the
They
UFC,
they
right?
do. They do. And
Yeah.
that's my point. I'm like, the only exception we get is in boxing. And again, we're in this wild, wild west where it's like every promotional company is its own monopoly. So they run their business how they like. They can't be questioned. They can't be penalized. It wasn't until the ABC came at the WPA that we even knew that there was something that could penalize. That could penalize and organization in boxing. It was when they were like, oh, there's payola going to this sports company for rankings, and we're going to investigate this, right? So before that, who was going to investigate Bob Arum besides the feds, or who was going to investigate Don King or Oscar De La Hoya or any of these guys? The Zone. Who's going to investigate these guys? Us as a boxing community had no idea because we're like, well, there is no head. But then the ABC, the American Boxing Commission, comes out and says, we're investigating them. Well, we need the American Boxing Commission to be the only boxing commission. That's the only way for us to succeed is if we have one, like it's the phrasing that you can only serve one master, right? If you have one leader, if you have one lawmaker, then there's only one God at that point, you know? And it makes everything else fall into somewhat of a sleep or somewhat of an order. And we're not getting that because, again, it's a wild, wild west, you know? So I look at it from the girls' nuances of them fighting these little rounds. I look at it from the nuances of Tank being able to have 3 JV belts, WBA, and 3 different divisions and never have to fight anybody.
Junior varsity belt.
Literally.
JV.
Like, those WBA belts that he was getting, he got 3 of them, 130, 135, and 140, if not 130, 135, 140, and never had to fight anybody. Not a number one contender, not a mandatory. Like I just don't get it.
Gervonta was never unified in all of those divisions.
Right, and mind you, he got the IGF. I think at 125 or 130.
130 against
yeah,
Jose
so
Pedraza.
He that was his only real belt. And then what happened with that? I just recall him not having the IBF anymore, and then I see him with WBA.
He got stripped when he fought Liam Walsh, as he was supposed to. He was supposed to. Oh wait, actually, let me just take a look at Tank's box rec, but I know for like a fact
I think it might have been the weight. I think he came in overweight that time.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I remember he got that overseas. Yeah, fighting the Liam. And mind you, Liam, like, come on now. He literally picked the title he won.
Yeah, so right here, after the Jose Pedraza win, he had Liam Walsh for the IBF super featherweight title. Oh, actually, yeah, it said, like, quote unquote, it says on BoxRec he made weight at 130, so I would assume.
Oh, he went back to make it then.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
Must have been what
he probably was given like a reweigh, like a reweigh, try, to try to
like what happened with Gamboa.
Yeah. And then after that he fought Fonseca, and then from that point on, oh wait, actually no, he probably did lose it. He lost it, and then he challenged Fonseca for the vacancy again. And then after that, he decided to go for the WBA, in which, wait, actually, no, Gervonta actually came in overweight in that fight too, because it says right here,
yes,
he weighed in at 132 pounds. So that following,
130 pounds.
Yeah. So then that fight later with Cuellar, that was for the WBA super featherweight title, in which Cuellar. Yeah, Cuellar.
Sorry, continue. Sorry. Yeah. I'll go back to that as soon as you're done with that.
Yeah, because Cuellar, if I'm not mistaken, when he got smoked by Gervonta, this is the title that he had from Abner Maris. Oh, yeah. So this is basically for the vacant title because Abner Maris defeated him back in 2016. And then leading up to this point.
And look at his weight before that. Look at Cuellar's weight before that fight.
Yeah,
or the weight class.
he was he was like 124 pounds leading up to 130 with Gervonta.
Thank you. And then look at the Cruz he fought. The Cruz he stopped with the body kind of forgot where his first name was. But I think he fought the Cuellar guy. You know, like literally he picked two guys that fought each other that lost to somebody that they both lost to. But he fought at least 3 bantamweights or super bantamweights. Because the guy he knocked out against the ropes was a super bantamweight on paper. And like his last 3 fights, like one of his fights was 122. You got one guy who's 124 who just named.
Oh, Mario Barrios? Mario Barrios?
No, not even that recent. It was like before Gamboa, he was fighting a slew of guys. They were like back to back to back. It was this guy Cruz. I think it was Cuellar. Yeah, Cuellar was one of them because he fought Cruz.
Yeah.
And was it Fonseca? No, it wasn't Fonseca.
It was Hugo. It was Hugo Ruiz. Yeah, you're talking
Hugo
about
Ruiz. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Hugo, he was so small.
You see how skinny he was in that fight? I was like, come on,
he looked,
really?
Yeah, but I also heard that he actually came in on short notice, right?
Yes, most of his opponents.
Yeah.
There's always something to go on because Tank does this thing where I'm fighting so-and-so, then that falls through, and then he pulls out a no-name. And it's the same thing with Ryan Garcia. That's why they politic off each other. But, man, real quick, I just wanted to say, bro, it's a pleasure.
Oh, wait, what?
I said it's a pleasure every time I talk to you. I say anytime you want me to hop on your platform, I'll hop on. And same, I'm going to need you to. I'm going to start going live soon too. So I would love to have you on my platform as well.
Yeah, for sure.
I got to get out of here shortly. So if there's a few more questions you wanted to hit beforehand, I'm down. If not, I'll cut out and I'll tap back into the actual chat. But however you want to do it.
Oh yeah. Like I just wanted to kind of like finalize on, the rest of everything that will follow for the near future for more upcoming boxing matches. But I think without the whole Shakur thing, I think Shakur he's gonna have like a very tough road heading into lightweight, and then I can't wait for these upcoming fights coming up soon. October is gonna be lit.
The 1st of October, we get Luis Nery. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like October is lit. We get Luis Nery October 1st. Martinez versus Ancas October 2nd. October 8th. And that's Martinez versus Ancas 2. We get Wilder versus Elenius the 15th. All of those other fights the 15th. We get Gary Antonio versus Emmanuel Rodriguez October 29th. Chocolatito versus Estrada is later that year, and then we get Paul Butler December. So we got a heavy October and a heavy.
Yeah, I can't wait. October is gonna be lit. Oh, also I think Jaron Ennis, he's coming back too.
Oh yes, how can we overlook that? Jaron Ennis, he already said something in the words. And it's something good. So who knows? We may get Jaron Ennis versus Ellis, hopefully, or something along those lines to set us up for that. But,
I wanna.
I'm excited.
I mean, honestly, like, one more thing before we wrap up, like, if he's lucky to get Errol Spence to fight him next, or get your Dennis Ugas or Keith Thurman, then that's gonna be a really, really good, end of the year fight for him. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think, all right, I do have one question for you, and this is something that we all should be thinking about, which I'm sure you've already thought about. So, because of the Daniel Kinahan, Bud, I agreed but never signed, like weirdo shit that he does. What do you have for this November 19th date that allegedly Earl Smith said, regardless, I'm fighting with or without Bud November 19th? What do you have him fighting? 2 options. I got Keith and I got Virgil Ortiz. Boots would be my last option, but I don't see him fighting Boots at 147. I see him fighting Boots at 154. But
Yeah.
who do you see him fighting November 15th? Because there's not enough time to promote for Bud.
I think Virgil would be.
Hypothetically, if he doesn't fight Bud, sorry.
Yeah, I think like the best opponents for Errol Spence would be definitely Keith Thurman. That would be the best fight ever. Virgil Ortiz would be like the best fight for him, as far as him just blowing right through him and just getting him out of the picture. And then the least, most difficult fight for Errol Spence would be Jaron Ennis, because Jaron Ennis,
Absolutely.
yeah, like regardless of what people say, like, oh, he's not ready. No, Jaron Ennis, he is a very difficult style matchup for Errol Spence. And even though that Errol, he hasn't fought that many southpaws like a guy like Ennis, because I don't consider
None
Jaron.
like it.
Yeah, I don't
None.
consider Jaron Ennis a orthodox fighter, primarily because he naturally fights like a southpaw. He doesn't really go into orthodox, and he said it himself. He doesn't come out a certain stance. He basically fights however he feels he wants to fight. So with that,
Right.
on top of being a switch hitter, I think that's a very deadly style matchup for Errol Spence, because he knows that whatever Boots will do to him, he's gonna learn from Errol Spence's style. And then once Jaron Ennis figures him out, it's like that's very, very big game changer type of fighter, where he has a lot of power just like Spence. And if he hits Spence at the right place at the right time, Jaron Ennis is, yeah, Jaron Ennis will give Errol Spence the most difficult matchup ever.
Preach. Hey, I literally have to put it this way to say the same thing. Right? The only man who can be real expensive, Jerome Lieutenant. And the only man who can be Jerome Lieutenant is Terrence. Damn, I just got to say Terrence Crawford. Is Earl Spence in this scenario right now, as far as what I can see. Now, can and will are two different things. Can and will are two different things. So we have to see them in there to actually know what will happen. But that is the most even welterweight match there is to have. So I agree 1,000% with that. The most difficult of the three, Keith Thurman and Virgil Ortiz and Boots, would be Boots. Who you got second? Would be my last question.
Who would I have for who?
Second most difficult. Second most difficult behind Boots for EJ out of Virgil Ortiz and Keith Thurman.
I'll probably say Keith Thurman, because Thurman, regardless of what anybody says, like, he could still hit,
Proven.
and he can give you like the most difficult fight ever. And he's such a good mover. Like that'll make that fight very interesting for Errol Spence, because if Errol Spence, if he can't find a way to cut off that ring against Keith Thurman, and Thurman's able to just blast him with that jab and basically right hook counter him, which I think Errol Spence,
right hook, left hook, and get out of dodge.
Yeah.
Problems.
but I don't see that being successful for too long, because once Thurman gets hit, especially to the body, Errol Spence, he's just going to use that stabbing jab, and it's just going to work perfect in his favor. Where Keith Thurman, once he starts, getting hurt to the body, and then he starts, becoming more, immobilized by Spence's pressure, I think Keith Thurman, he's going to start basically going into he's going to go into survival mode, where his body's not going to allow him to go blow for blow. And I think Errol Spence, he's going to favor that type of fighting style.
And that's the only reason I didn't put Keith second in my mind. I would put Keith second, but it's the second half of what you just said. It's the fact that we already know Keith to the body. It's the fact that we already know Keith has the mentality to win 7 rounds only and then survive the rest. We don't know the weaknesses of Virgil Ortiz outside of he doesn't, like, his natural instinct isn't to box you. His natural instinct is to beat you up. So the only thing Earl has to go off of is, if I don't mano a mano, go stop him like I did Ugas after boxing. So I would say Boots, then Virgil Ortiz, then Keith. And it's not saying Keith's done, it's just saying Keith has been exposed.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Because Keith Thurman, if he just had fought Errol Spence before he became a champion, and he was able to use his prime that he had on him to give EJ a
There would have
very
been no
different.
weaknesses that we saw. Because
Yeah,
we seen Keith Thurman beat the shit out of Danny Garcia and Sean Porter. Man, and I don't even beat the shit out of him, but they went tooth and nail, but he was clearly the winner in both fights. You know, well, I really thought that Sean Porter was closer than the Danny Garcia, but it was very like he was the welterweight. He was the guy before EJ, so it only made sense for them guys to fight. And then again, we didn't see real weaknesses. He wasn't taking his mouthpiece out of his mouth and running around the ring. The only weakness we really seen was Luis Collazo get up to the body, and that was the only time we was like, wait, what's going on with this dude? Because Luis Collazo hurt him to the body, and we bent all the way over and started running, you know. But no one. We all overlooked that because he still had 2 great fights after that. But then the Pacquiao hurt him to the body and hurt him upstairs. So I'm like, he has the tools, but he has to come in 100%. And we always hear excuses. Not that I'm 100%. With that said, bro, much love for having me on the platform. Again, anytime, anytime I'm free, you can send me a link or call me or any way I can get on, I'm down to hop on, bro. And I'm always down to show support.
yeah, most definitely, man. I had a lot of fun, and we should definitely have more shows like this. This will definitely get a lot of people, more involved.
It was fun as hell.
Yeah. Oh, also, when's the update of like your next fight, man? Like, I need to.
So you're the first to know the details. Is like we were planning for something for October 21st. That isn't ironed out. That's why there was no announcement made. So that's why I was kind of letting people know sometime in October. We've agreed to everything. They just didn't sign or send the contract. So right now, with where stand right, I just got done sparring this morning, and probably gonna take a nap before I get my other workout in. But we're gonna be ready for the next go around. I've never had a big interest in being built. I've always maybe it's an overestimation of ability, but I want to be tested to see who I am. Hence in my debut fighting the 4-0, and but I'm not shying away from tough fights. That's not the thing. That's not the name of the game. The idea is fight anybody, anywhere, anytime. That's just who I am. We can focus on being built after I'm proved wrong or something like that. But that said, you'll be the first to like I'll DM you or something like that so you can know and feel free to announce it, or I'll definitely keep you posted on once we have a for sure, and I'll definitely post it.
Yeah, most definitely, man. I can't wait for that to happen, and I'll definitely do the promoting on my end to help you out.
I definitely appreciate that, man. And once the Viper uploaded, like just so you know, like LDPC family, like all my family, people I'm cool with, like y'all don't gotta worry about asking me to upload a fight. Like if y'all can find a fight, upload that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
upload that shit. I don't give a fuck what the result is. It's part of the game. It's all entertainment. Like that's it nerves when people act like this is something other than like a movie or South Park on TV. You laugh, you cry, and clap. One of the 3, but it's all entertainment,
Yeah. Yeah, like I just basically laugh like about that when people talk about that.
Yeah, like I'm like, man, this is part of the game. You win some, you lose some. But like Craig said, you have to fight another day. So, but thank you again, brother. I ain't gonna hold you too long. I appreciate you letting me on your platform. I appreciate the boxing talk. I love boxing. I love people who love boxing. So enjoy the rest of your day, and I'm still in on YouTube, so I'll be here for your closing words too.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it, man.
Thank you, bro. So next time.
Yes, sir. Talk with you
Peace.
later. All right. All right. We are set. Uh, all right. Well, first of all, thank you to Mr. Combat Toolbag. Appreciate the good old chop session. Until we meet again, and Mr. Skywalker Boxing, aka Mr. Tim Maze, out of that good old New Mexico, out of Albuquerque. Thank you for coming through. Hopefully, we can get together soon. And shout out to Mr. Jose Diaz. Thank you for coming by. Shout out to everybody that came through in this amazing live stream. We are going to keep the grind going. We're going to work our way back up to 4,000, if not higher. Shit, we'll even get up to like 1 million. Who knows? But the future is bright for this channel. I'm definitely looking forward to doing more boxing insider talk very soon. Man, I wish I got paid to go out to a lot of these fights because, man, I'd be asking like all the most difficult questions ever to everybody. But yeah, man, I always like breaking down all these fights, and I love talking with everybody, combat, everybody, man. Like this is what boxing conversation, sports talk should be, not no destructive arguments back and forth. Just you know, peaceful, interactive discussions. So I appreciate you, Combat Tool Bag. Skywalker, everybody, man. So, shout out to the mighty LDBC, and shout out to the TWT. Shout out to everybody that loves the sport of boxing and all the hardcore fans out there. And yeah, man, that's about it. Until next time, man, we got a lot more fights to talk about real soon. And I'll catch you guys very soon on the next one. So thank you very much, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.